if you didn't fail, then you failed, but you didn't know about it,
Yeah.
and you just missed it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Everyone fails. Like, there's no winners all the
No,
time.
no,
you
no.
know, winners, I guess, like they fail a lot of times, and this time they got it right. Release one when we had that cake. Remember?
Oh yeah.
When was
that
That's-
first release with the cake to
Yeah.
celebrate that. Yeah.
That was
A couple months ago for
a
sure.
couple months ago.
So yeah.
And this one, we went a bit over time,
Yeah.
as all projects do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
But
because
it's huge also, right?
Yeah, but we did it right. I mean,
Yeah.
at least this time we did it right.
So it's a massive release, I guess. Right?
It's huge, yeah, because we went from jQuery
Yeah.
and very ugly, hacky jQuery and Symphony PHP to a way better structure in Laravel and Vue.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a huge release. It's the site's much faster, much more fluid. The information, like as you edit it, it comes back to you. The reactivity of Vue is a really, really nice thing.
So it's been well planned and built, I guess.
Yeah. Took some tug and pull, obviously. Some people weren't too sure about Vue,
Yeah.
like especially the designer. But he came around when he saw just the positive effects of it.
Yeah, it's kind of. I've noticed that in the past couple months, I spoke to a couple developers about Vue. So would you be into learning it and getting some training about it? And I'm not too sure. I like Angular, or I like this, or I like that. But those who got into it, I don't think any of them wants to use something else now.
Well, it's really nice. It's a really nicely structured JavaScript framework.
What is nice about it?
The way the documentation is made,
Yeah.
the actual structure of the components, and where they live, how they interact with each other, the reactivity, which is when you edit something in JavaScript, there's no need to go into the document, get that element by ID or by class or by name, and then manipulate it, right? You bind a certain variable to that element with what Vue gives you to do that, and then you manipulate it, and in real time, like let's say a text box is gonna be typed in real time, like the data is gonna be entered as well in real time, right? So like it removes a lot of need to refresh, need to do Ajax calls to refresh those elements. It's nice, and it's structured very well.
When it has been released,
I think I learned about Vue in its early stages when I was working.
It's not so long ago.
That was 2015.
Yeah.
Around that time, I believe. That's when I started hearing about Vue. And like many developers at that point, I wasn't too sure.
Yeah.
Jumping from jQuery to Vue is completely different.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, it's totally different structure,
Yeah.
totally different way of organizing your elements and how to manipulate stuff. So I wasn't too sure about it, but
at the same token, how many JavaScript, new flavor of the framework that happened in the past few years.
Well, it's because
right?
JavaScript is a flawed scripting language as it is, right?
Yeah.
Like the creator even told it. It's kind of like a parasite that he didn't create it for something that he believed was something long term.
Yeah.
It was just a means to an end, and it just tacked on, and it kept evolving in ways that probably shouldn't evolve, and I think that's the reason why there's so many frameworks, right? Because one compensates for what the other can't do. So there's no unison when it comes to JavaScript, but there's definitely some good ones, and there's definitely some that are better at the others, like Go or stuff like that are just Google just implemented, and it's much more you know, we had a discussion on our Slack.
Yeah, I saw that.
That it's much better to handling some things that are doing asynchronous tasks and threading than others, you know.
Yeah, there was many flavor in the past, like,
and I think
6-7 years, maybe 7-8 years.
And it's not gonna stop. I
mean,
like, it's gonna keep evolving. There's not gonna be like, I don't believe in one type of scripting language or one coding language that'll rule them all or do everything, because they're very good at what they do.
Yeah.
And you should pick the right language for them.
Yeah, that's it. Like Laravel exists for what, 4 or 5 years maybe?
Yep.
And there's going to be something else eventually.
Although Laravel's been taking a lot of the market because just community is great, documentation's great. They've been the releases have been doing a lot of improvements.
That's the thing that impressed me the most about Laravel at first. I think I've heard about it first time 4 years ago. About 4 years ago. And then when I started to look at the documentation and the community behind it, it's like, holy cow, that's going to be something.
Yeah. I have a Slack that's just community of Laravel developers, and they're just very helpful. You know, you have a problem in Laravel, especially with the new versions, they're there, they can help you, you know, things that don't necessarily happen in Magento or other frameworks. Like Symphony is a little bit more cryptic, but Laravel has been very up in front on, let's document this, let's try and make it as clear for people that, you know, it has its flaws, but, you know, it's good at what it does. That's for sure. And that's why we use it here for some of the projects, because it's really good. It's a good framework. I like.
We had a conversation. I don't know. Were you part of it? I had a conversation. We had a conversation once about a month ago, and we were talking about Laravel and Symphony, and what is the main, or let's say the main benefit of using Symphony as opposed to Laravel on a project. And the guys that were on the discussion just ended up pointing out to two things. I forgot what is it, but I think it's about databases. Or I forget the name, but there's a term for that.
Like ORMs?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, the thing about these frameworks is they do a lot of magic in the background. Like, that was the hardest thing for me to get used to when I was starting to work with Laravel. Is that the whole modules thing, right? I think I come from Java, where you have to code your own code object manipulations. Like we learned how to do database manager and, you know, code all that phase, and to have that inferred in Laravel, it's definitely weird. You know, especially with people that are they just want to see what the hell's happening. And you know, they use Eloquent, which is something that you can build queries with, and that's also something that, you know, it does very, I wouldn't say very basic, but very general, or the more popular SQL manipulations. But if you want to go something further than that, something more complex, it becomes a little bit of a pain. Right. But normally you shouldn't be using that. I guess it's case by case, but, you know, like most of the Eloquent stuff, it compensates for a lot of things that we, in general, most of the time do. There's a lot of things you can do with such a framework. I know Symphony is quite a bit more. I mean, Laravel is being built on top of Symphony, right? So, and Symphony is, from what I hear, very solid framework. Definitely. But even then, there's so much things you can do with that, and if you would build the next Facebook, probably you wouldn't use that. But well, Facebook is something different.
Exactly. It's not even it's very complex application. But I don't see as of today what you can't build with Laravel. For sure. On the web,
I mean, definitely. But
web application.
There's a reason why Magento exists, right? Because they're really good at what they do, which is, you know, e-commerce. Right.
But
now Laravel is not that good at e-commerce.
No, but at the same token, there's Silius, that is an e-commerce platform built on top of Symphony. And even, I forgot the name, someone told me the name, someone that's been part of Magento, who said he would have a hard time today not considering that tool as opposed to Magento?
That's because Magento is very complex.
Yeah,
like
it's very heavy,
from what I've been talking with our Magento guys, like it's a very like tightly structured framework. So it does so well because it's so structured.
Yeah.
Like they've really ironed out the edges, and they've made it proper for e-commerce. And then that comes with the complexity of it, right? So
it's expensive.
It's much harder. It takes more time. Like we're talking about making a form. A form in Laravel takes you what? An hour or two?
Yeah, exactly.
Like how complex it is. In Magento, it can take 2 days.
Yeah.
Because it's not like the front end has to be adapted to what Magento does, and it's much more complex.
It's super complex.
But when it works, it works.
Yeah.
And it works well.
If you have the time to do it properly,
yeah,
and you have the money to invest into your e-commerce product, you will have a very solid platform.
Definitely.
There's very I mean, I wouldn't bet, but there's big brands using Magento and they're going super well, but they have an army of Magento guys in the back.
I mean, like to build a good product that stands the test of time and that is very solid for what it does, you need to put some money into it. You can't like expect to build let's say an application that has a high frequency of users with little money. I mean, you could, but you're gonna hit roadblocks during the day, and sometimes those roadblocks would start costing more than what you initially thought you were gonna save.
Or it's gonna work at the beginning, and eventually along the way something's gonna break. You have no idea why, and you didn't touch the code. You didn't make any upgrade or any update to the code base, and something broke. But that's just because something that you didn't plan initially just reaches, I don't know, threshold or limit or whatever. It's
well, that's the whole point of agile programming, right? So like you don't have you release as you go, basically. That's in the lamest terms I could put it. So you start building part by part, and you release slowly, because things about estimates is that you start with an estimate, and that's the thing. There's the business side of a company, and there's the technological side of the company, right? The business side of the company likes numbers, likes estimates, because it's good. They're allowed to. It gives you power to, plan your budget properly, plan your projections properly.
Yeah, and you need an idea too. Like if someone has a budget of, I don't know, 80 grand, and what he's thinking of will definitely double that, and you don't have the money, he needs to know at least.
Exactly. But the thing that comes with that is, let's take like big projects as an example, right? Because that's, I think, the problem with estimates. It plagues more big projects than smaller ones. Smaller ones, they're done. The estimates have a time to live, right? It's like a cache on web, right?
Yeah.
It's there for some time, and afterwards the cache isn't valid, right?
Yep.
Same goes for estimates, especially when it's a huge project.
Yep.
So we can plan out the what we think initially, the structure, the architecture of the project initially, and we can start building part by part. Sometimes those parts take months. Sometimes those parts take years. And sometimes when you're building, either something in the business side changes, or something that you didn't plan out in the
you didn't use it yet, so you don't know.
Exactly. So then that means that your initial estimate then.
We were talking yesterday with Nick, and for the internal ERP that we have, initially when we built our ticket system, basically, was all good on paper, was all good on design.
Always is.
It was fascinating to look the designer making it happen and say, okay, that's gonna be cool. And then we started to use it and be like, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that neither. And I don't like that neither. Ah, shit, let's go through a refactoring of how we use the thing. So no, the funny thing is we started pretty straight in the technology subject. So if someone's watching or listening and is lost or she's lost, there's a good reason for that. Is nothing simple in development.
No.
And we tend to be like, oh, that's a simple app, or that's a simple website, or that's a simple modification, update, bug fixing, whatever. Nothing is simple.
No.
There's never something simple.
But we always fall for that. Like there's the planning fallacy here that we're talking about essentially, which is we always think that we can plan out something rather than we can actually do it, or like in the time that we can actually get it done, right?
Yeah.
And that's the planning fallacy is something that's been coined in 1997 by these two psychologists research, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, I believe.
If you find, let's put the link in the description.
Yeah, definitely put it. And it basically says that we're just prefer planning on our own prejudice than on actual historical data, because the example was painting a room, right? Painting a room. This guy was wanting to paint a room. Said, okay, in these 2 days of the weekend, I'm gonna get the room painted, and it's gonna be done.
Yeah.
He ends up taking a month for it, and he has to paint the next room. Instead of saying, oh, okay, look, it took me a month to paint this first room, the second room will probably take me around the same time. No, he said, look, I'm better at painting rooms now. I know what to do. So this time it'll take me a week, and it ends up taking a month. And similarly, that happens in programming.
Yeah. T, can you give me my phone? I want to find that quote, and I always pronounce this guy named super terribly, but that quote is super appropriate to what we're talking about. The guy, I think he's okay. Yeah, if my wife don't see that, I might be in trouble. Thanks, T. She just saved my weekend. There's a let me find his name. Is Hofstadter. I have it here. This guy is Hofstadter Law. Okay, I'm gonna pronounce it super bad.
That's okay.
It's called Hofstadter law, the Hofstadter law, and it refers to it always take longer than you expect, even when you take into account the Hofstadter's law.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's I forgot where what's the origin of this guy, and it was in '79, I think, but it's actually a quote about programming, about computer science, and it's true, and it's even today. Like we've been doing this for 10 years here for other people. Before we were doing it for ourselves, but still today it's pretty much impossible to come with an estimate that is going to be very accurate.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it's something that I don't think we'll ever get it ironed out because the problems are different. The solutions will be different. It's just tailored
There's
to
way too
the
many
business.
variables.
Exactly, way too many variables. And even if we do it as if we do planning, a month planning, yes, it'll get
very
closely
close.
to what
very close.
it'll actually take, but there'll still be things that we didn't account for. There's volatility in what we do that we just can't account for, and we as programmers know it, but it's very hard to actually communicate it to the business. Because especially when the business is not as tech savvy or knows what the actual software or the actual process of creating software is, they it's not like building a house where you have a straight plan. It's been done for years. You know how much it's going to take. It's very complex. It's logical problems that sometimes depending on the data, depending on the day, depending on the versioning of this of the stuff you use, it's going to take different time.
So let's play for fun. Let's say, for example, someone having a SaaS idea. Okay, software as a service. He wants to get into business, and he has some good money to invest. But anyway, he wrote his notes. He has 3-4 pages of notes. He's not a business analyst, right? Obviously, like everyone.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to define all the technical requirements because that person's not technical, which is probably representing 80% of the people wanting to develop something or get something developed.
Just an entrepreneur in general, right?
Even today, I still write my notes this way. Like I'm quite technical, but I'm not going to, I'm afraid to be too technical or too, I would say, narrowed into my notes, so it actually blocked the developer creation.
Well, because it has to be as a funnel, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to start with the broadest stuff and then funnel it in slowly, right?
Yeah.
So that's
no, exactly. And so let's say typical SaaS would take probably 3 months to build, roughly. A little nice app, and so that person starts shopping, wants to know how much it's going to cost, right? And let's say he or she's down to offer. So she has an offer. Let's say she has an offer for from a good seems to be a good company, normal company, and probably for about 40 grand, right? And there's another one. It's seems to be a smaller company, maybe 1 or 2 dev, and they say we're gonna do it for 20 grand. But the first company said it should be around 40 grand, depend on a few variables.
Right,
because
there's some nuance.
Exactly, because from your documentation of 3 pages, you can plan for every use case and every scenario.
Unfortunately, you can't. Even with the most detailed documentation, you can't.
So if you're like that, and you have 2, 3 page, 4 page notes, and you actually have someone without asking too many questions that's going to give you a fixed price, it's very suspicious. Because it's not realistic. It doesn't. It's as if you say, I want to build a new house. Here's my drawing. I want 3 rooms, 2 bathrooms, and this and that. No architect plan or anything. So tell me how much it's going to be. I'm going to do it for 50 grand. It doesn't work this way.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't work this way. So, but it's very appealing to pick the 20 grand option.
Of course, it's cheaper. It's cheaper. You're going to get your results. I mean, let's say that both companies have very good developers, right, that are very experienced. Like both have very experienced developers. One is just more in-house freelance. The other one is more corporate, more structured company. There's definitely, as a businessman, you would want the cheapest bang for your buck, but then that comes with some other things too, right? There's a cost to it. And I don't think people who want to build the software, some people might know, some people don't. And in my experience, most people don't. They don't know how complex it is, and they don't know in what potential, problem you're going to go with the cheaper option. Because let's take that SaaS example you said. If it's a fairly complex application, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of time planning, and it also has to, like I'd say to these to these entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs trying to build something, you have to take into account the logistics of it, the technical logistics of it. It's not just coding. Like it's not just writing numbers and letters and that's it, right? It's not a straightforward process. It's a very very nuanced, if I would say. And there's a lot of planning. There's architecture that has to go through it, and architecture is super important, because the better your architecture, the better you can probably avoid some foreseeable problems or unforeseeable problems. You always have, you're gonna get problems, and you're gonna get errors, and there's gonna be things that are gonna slow down your process along the way, regardless of which option you get. The key here is to reduce the amount, right? So
there's a saying, I might not say it correctly, but it says, if I had 3 days to cut a tree, I would spend 2 days and 3/4 in sharpening the saw. And programming is the same thing. You spend maybe 70% of the time thinking, designing, overthinking.
Exactly.
Coding is nothing.
No,
when you think about it.
You take most of the job that programmers do, it's in their head.
Yeah.
Like if you take what like the amount of code a programmer produces a day, like just the amount of lines he writes a day, it'll probably take you like 15 to 20 minutes to write it down on paper.
Yep.
But it's the whole thinking process that's behind those lines of code and that work well. That's what most people that are not tech savvy and get into
they don't
these the technological industry don't understand that it's not straightforward. It's very nuanced, and it's very hard to communicate that because it's not something tangible, right? It's not something that you can show, and even if you show it, it's not gonna look like it's hard work.
But actually, for this example, I think we should play and make a diagram of what a normal SaaS would look like if you would plan it. And if you take the other option where the guys don't have much time because they need to be within their 20 grand, how it can look like. Because one of the main problem that you might have, look, you might be lucky and get a great guy that's going to do a great application. It's just not the average.
That's even if you get the most knowledgeable programmer, a very very smart person, even if you get one person working on a whole SaaS application, which I've seen before, it's gonna have its flaws because why? Because there is a time limit on what he could do, and like these people with the 20 grand will fall into that problem, right? Because they don't have as much resources, because it's all dependent on your resources, right? Like this structured company, they'd say you're like, what we were talking about, 50 grand? 40, 50 grand, right? They're a pretty well established company with a lot of programmers on board, and there's a lot of knowledge sharing within the programmers, right? You're only paying for the amount of people you're actually hiring at this place, or
but
for
you get the leverage of everyone else in the place.
You get knowledge of it. You get historical data that back you up with stuff. You get people that know how they did it, how it's been done before, and they can help reduce the amount of problems you have. Whereas
that's a big thing.
And they overestimate, right? Because every developer should overestimate how much time their things go, the projects go, even as small as of a task, because you need to put that little bit of leeway in case something goes wrong, because most of the time it will go wrong. So then this company knows, and that's why they asked you for a bigger price, because let's say that these two are very honest companies. Even the smaller developers are very honest companies, but the smaller companies here, if you're going to build a big application, unavoidably for a lesser price, they'll unavoidably will run into some things that they're going
to hit the challenges that the bigger company went through already.
But with less resources, right? With less knowledge, with less resources.
And here's an example of something that will happen if we want to make it more tangible. Right? And this we saw it many times, and I deal with that pretty much every week with some clients. And it's, for example, a more structured company will ask you very precise questions.
They'll pick your brain, for sure.
And to understand what you have in mind, what might happen in the near future, because they don't want to basically build something in a way that is so restrictive that if you want to do that thing in 2 years, that you won't be able to do it because of that feature that you just built. Now, the other smaller or the freelance or whatever, that person, that's not going to take that time, let's say. If, let's say that person say, okay, I'm going to start Laravel or whatever framework, and I'm talking to you every day. You tell me what you want, agile, whatever it is. Now you tell me something, or you tell that person like 2 weeks later, that thing, I want it to be this way. Now there's been a few days of work towards another way. And now this guy is having a fixed price, a fixed time frame or whatever, And he's looking at the picture and like, normally I should refactor that, but I don't have the budget to do it.
So you hack it.
So I have to hack it and take a shortcut to do the
And
other
we're talking
thing.
about hacking, whereas finding an easy, not easy, but a fast, not always up to standards solution to your problem. Like something that is not very well structured and will possibly break, but it'll do, right?
Yeah.
It happens everywhere. It happens in big companies. It happens in small ones. There's always some kinds of hacks in your thing, because the problem here is that the person hiring you doesn't care, right? He probably doesn't care how it looks in the back end, very few people could do, and they just care what they see in front, and most people just care on what they see and what is tangible to see, right?
Well, look, PHP 5 just stopped being supported 3 months ago.
Something
6, I think, and I still know a lot of website still on that, but it's running, it's working,
right?
So the guys are just like, don't fix what's not broken, right?
Exactly.
And this is a huge mistake, because it's gonna happen that either is gonna be hacked or something's gonna happen and it's gonna fall apart, and that days you're gonna be on a emergency mode, to fix your thing,
because of your arrogance, right? Because you thought you knew, and because you think that you know better than the expert.
Same thing with the server, okay? I know the same thing, and I keep trying to offer that to some clients, and they just don't want to pay for that.
Server maintenance?
Yeah. And it's not taking a lot of time.
It's somewhat,
or at least take a managed service, at least. But there's servers that website and application runs on, and they're just not updated since 2-3 years.
And there's
it's
a lot of
super
issues
vulnerable.
There. Not just that, it won't run as fast. And vulnerability. I mean, cybersecurity is becoming a huge problem now, because along with what we call AI and machine learning, we'll be able to crack more of these fallacies, right?
Most product, website, application, anything that is on the web right now is actually unsecure. And it's not even like, okay, I don't have this real scientific data, but it's so obvious, because people do not value the security. They do not value, look, how many big product in the past 2-3 years that's been hacked, and there was information leak, and how
even
many
the big companies have
even the big
companies.
Under Armour with MyFitnessPal got hacked.
There's also like hardware issues, right? Where Intel, the i7s are, I think the first generation, they were really, really vulnerable now from I can't believe the way of attacking it, but basically it's using JavaScript. And it's using JavaScript, and it takes it's pretty fast. And all the Intel generations, which is mostly, I wouldn't say all, but it's a huge part of what the servers are running with, are all vulnerable. You have to take the steps so that people don't abuse that, And if you ask Nick, I know him for 13 years almost, and so he saw me at my worst. and I was like that too. Like, it took me forever to understand and to value good structure, good programming, security, updates, all of that. It's because there's hard lessons to learn.
And it's been in my mind for the past years. How can we educate people about that? And it's not an easy task. I'm starting slowly to have a clue. Like, I'm hoping those type of videos, podcasts that we're making will be spread out, so people will be more aware of that. How important is this?
Well, the biggest thing is just let people that are experts at what they do their do their job, you know, like, and actually counsel you into this, right? Don't come into a business and start, like, you might have the greatest idea ever, right? Don't come into this business and then think that you know everything, because when you think you know everything, you're gonna crash and fail. Like, this is like this is called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Let's put the link.
Yeah, we'll put the link down below. So basically, what that is when people think they're an expert on some things. They're more confident because they don't know as much, right? They don't know as much on programming, so they think they know it all, and then they enforce things to people that they're paying to do, and then at the end, it bites them in the ass, right? My first job was with a company like that, where, you know, like the same guy just created this whole monolith of application, and, you know, he was out of college, so probably inexperienced, and he coded all himself, so no documentation, and he coded it for what it needs to be doing now, without thinking of, oh, what will it look like in 5 years? And on top of that, business told him, look, tack on this and this and this to this application, because we wanted to do different things, as it went, and it developed into this monster, this crazy like spaghetti code application that works, but it's getting slower every day, and that's part of it, because, you know, their servers, like what you said, their servers weren't maintained. You know, they had Apache and MySQL running on the same server, and they were competing for resources, right? Because those are two very expensive services that are running, and MySQL was competing for RAM as well as Apache, and at one point one killed the other, so all your pages of the kinds were down. And even when that happened, that's why I'm saying this is a very hard lesson to learn, and not everyone will want to learn them.
Then you can appreciate
when it crashed. You know, the owner didn't say, okay, you're right, we need to rebuild this, I'll put the money into it, and let's do that. No, it was just fix it, patch it, let it restart it, and I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe it's going this way right now. And, you know, it's not the only one that's out there doing this.
Well, we have clients.
Thing. Exactly.
We had clients, and we have clients like that. And it's our, let's say, duty to try to bring them in the right path. It's not an easy task, because it's also expensive. So you need to spend a lot of time educating, explaining, and showing why. And it's not.
And it's hard explaining why. Without having irrefutable proof right now. It's something that'll happen in the future, and that's very hard for people to understand. For sure. Like, we need, like, I take my job very seriously, where I will stop something that I see that's wrong, and I will tell them, like, even though they push for it, I'll tell them, no, you're gonna fall into this, and it's gonna cost you way more than what you think, than what you're saving right now, just because you want to save a day.
In this business, being a yes person doesn't make any sense, doesn't make you feel good. And if you're a developer working in an environment that you feel you have to be a yes person, you just better switch and change jobs.
There's a lot of jobs out there, and there's a lot of jobs that will treat you like that. Like, they just want you to do this thing without any critical thinking behind it. And maybe that'll work, but it's not a place I would like to work at, because when I see something that's wrong, I like to say it, because I
actually feel good now when I tell a client that, look, your idea is dumb. I'm sorry.
No, and you have to.
We need to plan properly.
And you have to tell them why. You can't be just going with that, because at the end, who ends up, you know, taking the blame? You.
For sure.
Because you didn't tell them, right? Even if they get mad when you tell them, even if you have an argument, it's way better to just be upfront and honest with your client. And in the end, whenever I have done that, the client has been thankful for it.
I've saw in the past, and this many times, where we would say to a client, this is what you need, okay? And no, I don't want that. It's not worth, it's too expensive. I'm going to rebuild eventually, no matter what. okay, but you might have big problems. That's fine. We'll see at that point. Now, a few months goes by, those problems arise. Why you didn't fix them up front? Why you didn't tell me up front?
Yeah.
So, well, I told you, no, that was something else. And that there's all kind of bullshit, kind of this denial mindset.
Because people are in denial when they're wrong, especially people in those positions. They don't like to be wrong.
No,
they don't like to be wrong. But
because they know they're wrong.
Exactly. They know they're wrong, but they like it's either pride or whatever it is. They don't like to do it, but you need to tell them.
I had a conversation actually this morning with the developer here, and we were talking about a project that we've been on for a while, and about some features that are on this application that are not really needed at this point. And the conversation went super fast into like, but the developers at the time, they did that because some things got said and brought on the table. This is what I want. Okay, but in order to do this, you need that. Okay, fine, do it. And then in order to do this, you need that. And then you end up with a few that everywhere. And the client is like, I don't know why we have those, but you need those.
Yeah, you do.
That's the thing. And you actually add so many different requests and in so many different form and shape and not structured that you end up with those things. You need to trust actually your team into, I want to do this thing, tell me the best way to do it.
Exactly.
And for that SaaS example we were talking about, if you take the cheaper option, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
It definitely is. Like if you have that sentiment in yourself that you're like, well, I'm getting a good price here, but it's too good to be true. Most of the times it is too good to be
all
true,
the time,
and you should back out for
unless it's your son that want to give you a favor.
But even then, like you should go with the best option.
Yeah,
like you need to trust your gut feeling, and you also, like you said, you need to trust your programmers, the developers, the people who will create, because they will create your income resource. Like, do you want your income resource to be good and to be standing the test of time, or do you want something quick and hacky and then like a lot of people like outsource to other countries, and it's normally cheaper labor, and they get it done fast. But then 4 or 5 years down the line, they see that, this solution is not sustainable. Like I have this amount of users increase, and now it's slow. It doesn't even load, and I need to rebuild again, and I need to dish out another 30K, 40K, 60K just to get that data.
Here's something that is not tangible that people don't see up front is, now this person, she takes that cheaper option, get the application developed, it's running, business starting, she's super happy, right? Now she got feedback from clients saying, I'd like to have this thing, or I'd like to have that thing. And how long, Mr. Dev, it's going to take to develop that thing? Well, 4 weeks. Well, shit, it's only just this, and that. Yeah, but I have to do this, and that in order to do it.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to change the whole backend. Sometimes
exactly. You need to refactor a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
So, and I see, like again, this week again, I saw that we were working on something, and so we fix a bug here, and it caused 2-3 other bugs elsewhere.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, that is so strange. Like it was literally the caricature of, those like Disney animation where there is in the boat and there's a hole here and a hole there, and
then 2 more pop out. Yeah, exactly.
We actually this week we had to deal with that.
It happens.
And that the cause of that is only because of not proper planning. Yeah. And that's really just that.
And really it is. And with proper planning, it means more cost, Like there's this, I was listening to a podcast a couple of years ago when they were having that same discussion, and with big companies, like companies like Facebook, Google, that they didn't start thinking they're going to have pretty much the whole world,
of course,
using their app. And they got to a point where it was too big to maintain.
Yeah.
So, the whole typical architecture of having, your database layer at the bottom, your logic, and then your front end, it wasn't sustainable for their business. This was a software engineering podcast. I'll try to find it after this. And what they were saying is that they're implementing a different kind of architecture, where your monolith is not only split up horizontally, but it's split up vertically like that. So every little, let's say, action of your software is its own independent service, right? So you can pop it up, destroy it, rebuild a new one, and it goes with agile programming, and it increases the releases like every 10 hours a release instead of, a release every 2 weeks. And that, for those companies, that structure works. But what does that mean? It means a way more complex application, because if you want independent services, independent microservices talking to each other within the same application, the way they communicate and the security, sorry, I bumped the mic, the security and how they communicate, there's a whole layer of complexity there, and it'll take more time to dish out because there's more things that can go wrong.
Well, so Twitter had actually their venture when they started to be popular. They actually crashed a few times. And
I believe I could be wrong, but they're trying to use this architecture now, and use it as microservices, because with the influx of users, they need to change every parts real quick.
No, exactly. It's there's no shortcut in development. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist.
No, because the shortcut will lead you into a longer path.
Exactly. Like if in this scenario let's say she had actually 30 grand in money to invest in that app, and she had an offer or the real way to do it at 40 and the 20 grand offer, it's very interesting. But you're better to cut feature and work with that company and start with an MVP and minimal viable product. Start with that, launch it, generate revenue, and then slowly add new features to it. And you better do that than try to cut
corners.
It doesn't work out. It doesn't work out because you will end up spending that money and even more money after that over the next few months.
And sometimes you don't have that money to spend, so your business crashes and burns.
Exactly.
Right? So like I said, if you have an idea and you only have a limited amount of budget, and you went through companies and you know that it'll take way more than the budget you have, scale it down. Scale it down. Make it a little bit simpler. Start with
and with a well-structured,
and then once you get more traction, once you get more budget, build it up. And that's the whole basis of agile programming. That's how the world needs to work right now.
Someone I know had exactly about $60,000 or something like that, and he really wanted to have an application developed the way he wanted it. He spent that whole 60 grand, but he had no more money for launching it, marketing, so it just ended up dying. So that's another thing. If you if you would go back 20, 25 years ago, back, being an entrepreneur wasn't cool. That wasn't even in most mind.
No, it wasn't accessible either.
No,
because it would cost.
Now
more
today,
money.
Anyone can be an entrepreneur, and
which is a great thing, because people can own their own business. And I really believe in that.
And in today's era, if you're a good-looking person, you're gonna be successful on Instagram. And you're gonna make money out of it.
You can make money. Influencers,
whether it's man or girl,
huge amount of money.
Same thing.
But it comes up with advertisement now is really important. Really important.
But the thing is, it's cool, and people want to also take shortcut there, and they want to become an entrepreneur quick. And so, I have a bit of money. I'm going to invest that money. I will get this tool developed, and it's going to work. No, well, you know what? Your tool sucks. Your execution is everything. And there's when the execution of an idea is well done, even if your idea sucks, it might work. That's how crazy it is.
It is.
And that is also why, if you look at those, for example, like Shark Tank, and the guy has an idea and he wants to license it, or it's just 4 or 5% worth, because the execution is everything. The idea worth nothing. And
I mean, the idea of it can be, exactly. Like, the idea is just something that you think of, right? But without an execution.
How many times it happened to us, to Tony and I, people calling us, explaining the idea, wanting us to partner with them, and being partnered just by providing development. It's like, no, it's way too expensive for us to be partnered with you. And what did you invest in your idea? Like, you thought about it?
You just thought about it.
And you spend $5,000 or $10,000 into buying this and that? Like, no. Your idea doesn't worth that much money.
Like, I have a friend who built this system for a lawyer, right? And the lawyer had the idea to kind of just, automate a certain part of the lawyering process into this application, right? So he contacted my friend, and they slowly started building it. The lawyer said, look, we're going to build a partnership. We build it initially. I'll give you the clients, and then we split the profit as it is, right? Yeah. The idea was good. The execution was better. And the execution was so well made that, my friend just started selling it to other people and whatnot. And now, like, the lawyer got a little bit jealous. And, he started demanding more and more and more percentage. Yeah. And that didn't pan out. Like, it was infeasible because the lawyer, what was his job? Just call his friend, tell him that there's this new app. That's it. Yeah. He didn't, I believe he didn't post anything, like, he didn't spend anything in advertisement. It was just contacts.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he was demanding for almost half of the income of what every sold license would do. So they started, they decided to dissolve the partnership, give him the part of what he did and whatnot. The lawyer didn't like it at all because...
Well, no, he's losing the guy, right?
He's losing his development team now. So, and he's like, he got very, very...
Who's bringing the value on the table? That's the thing,
development team, because they're improving the idea. Like, your idea was just was the seed, right? And like the watering, the earth, the nutrients, that was brought on by the development team, and it grew into a huge tree. And what was worth was, the idea started small, but the development team grew it, right? And at that point, like, the lawyer wasn't happy, and he was like, well, this is my idea, this is my product. But
what did you do with it?
Exactly.
Well, the same thing with McDonald's. McDonald's, there was that. There was this, I forgot the name, but I watched the documentary or the movie lately about McDonald's. It was just one stand, one place. And those two brothers, I think, they didn't want to expand. And this guy who actually executed, he's not being just nice. He's been a bit of a prick, but in the end, he's been the one
who
friends
in business.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I believe in fair business and doing the right things.
Fair business, but
if let's say we buy a product or website or something now that's generating $200,000 a year, and I had an idea and I transform it into $5 million a year. I mean, it's if the other person jealous, like same thing happened with Dropbox. Yeah, the story of Dropbox is phenomenal. It's super fun to listen. Tim Ferriss interviewed the guy from Dropbox. It's super cool to listen.
I'll listen to that.
And because initially their domain was getdropbox.com.
Right.
And Dropbox.com was already owned by someone else, and they've been harassing this guy to buy it, right? And to a point where they went and they knocked at his door, okay? And they said, we want to buy you, Dropbox.com. So they offered him shares and stock. I mean, the stocks in the venture.
Company,
And instead, he decided to sell it for cash, $300-something thousand.
Because people are short-sighted.
It was worth over $100 million after that.
Let's go. There you go. And it happens all the time. All the time. People don't understand that it's not just the idea.
No, it's really the execution.
It's the sweat, it's the blood that you put in, it's the hours, it's the hard work, and that's even more valuable than your potential, your initial potential.
So to come back to this SaaS, she has a certain budget.
Yeah.
If you don't have money for the execution, you need to review your plan.
That's true.
Unless because there's many ways to do marketing online nowadays with
easy.
very low money.
Yeah.
You just need to work 15 hours a day. And you need to ping everyone on Instagram. You need, and
you can even just buy our marketing, $1,000.
Yeah,
and
like,
you're good.
So you're that person, and okay, let's say you have a bit of money now. You had those two options between the 20 and the 40 grand. You need money for execution. You won't have circuits. Along the way, you're going to end up paying way more than if you do it properly.
Yeah.
Now, I know someone's going to say, well, but you have no guarantee that the well-structured company is going to do it properly.
Well, business is never guaranteed anyways,
exactly.
right?
Now, if you have this doubt...
Like, there's always doubt in what you do. Like, when you get into a business, you're I hope that everyone who gets in business, like, actually knows that it can very potentially fail and it could crash and burn. And it's happened to me. It will happen to other people as well. You know, it's the name of the game. Sometimes you lose and you need to learn from that.
So, and today, like I was saying, today it's cool to be an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Until the economy crashes, and then it's not going to be cool anymore, which should happen in the next few years, because historically there was a crash in the economy every 8, 10, 12 years.
It's supposed to happen very, very soon.
Yeah,
but
so
we keep growing. So
so we're in a very good period of the time,
good,
and so. You know, it wasn't cool 25, 30 years ago to be an entrepreneur. Now everyone wants to be, but there's no circuit. If let's say you know nothing about Wish, as an example, you have not the branding in your mind, and the guy explained you his idea about Wish, well, I'm going to sell stuff for cheap. It's like, okay, whatever. You know, there's eBay already. There's Amazon that's very popular. They did such a crazy job on Facebook ads. And now they're a $1 billion company,
right.
A multi-billion-dollar company. And same thing with Stripe. Stripe, the guy who created Stripe, was such a smart idea, because just before that, the payment processor were so hard to implement. Yeah. And this guy was a developer. He said, I'm going to build a payment processor that's going to be made for a developer and easy to integrate. And Jesus, it's been like, you know, so... yeah, there's no circuit. There's no circuit.
There's always opportunity, but
it's going to cost you money. Like,
it's going to be hard work. It's going to cost you money. Sometimes you're going to be thinking, is it all worth it? But, you know, you need perseverance, and you need to, you know, carry on. And if you really believe in your idea, just keep at it. Yeah. But you need to also learn when you fail. Yeah. Because failing is the most important thing. If you, like, every day you fail. And you need to take those lessons and take them with you to the next step.
Yeah, and if you didn't fail, then look at those who failed.
Like, if you didn't fail, then you failed, but you didn't know about it, and you just missed it. Yeah. Right? That's the thing. Yeah. Like, everyone fails. Like, there's no winners all the time. No. Winners, I guess, like, they fail a lot of times, and this time they got it right. You know, that's it. Yeah, that's just it. Yeah.
Yeah, wise word. The end. I leave you I let you have the last word. So that's good. Cool. Thanks, man.
No problem, man.
Boom. Mic drop.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. It really means a lot to us, and it would mean even more to us if you would just hit that button, smash that button, like that button, punch that button, flick that button, lick that button.
Whoa. Phrasing test. Phrasing. Just click on that button. Please subscribe. It would mean a lot to us. And please comment, whether on YouTube or Twitter. Let us know what you thought.